So this TikTok was floating around a few months ago.
I want to know why the Generation X generation did not cancel Metallica and Megadeth when Dave Mustaine had something nasty to say about Kurt Cobain dying.
Today is like the anniversary of the death of Kurt Cobain. Do you feel like saying something, or?
He was a good aim.
I want to know why. I want to know why y'all didn't cancel Metallica. Because James Hetfield is a stupid son of a fucking bitch. I got some nasty shit to say about Kurt Cobain.
What color was Kurt Cobain's eyes? Blue. One blue this way, one blue that way.
And Lance Staley from Alice in Chains, in case y'all didn't fucking know, look it up. Because I'm proud of my generation, and Generation Z, and Generation Alpha, because we cancel motherfuckers.
Look at this hair. Does it look like I was prepared to make a video today? Because I wasn't. But then I heard about this video, stopped everything, because this is a code red fucking emergency.
Kelly Mano tried to explain the potential can of worms that was being opened, but I want to actually answer the question as someone who was a metal fan in '94. So why wasn't there some uproar or cancellation of Metallica when this happened? The first reason is quite simple. The only people who knew about these incidents were the people at the show. I'm honestly surprised that these concerts were recorded by fans. They would have been shot on some home video device that, I guess, was actually allowed in the venues. And do you think that they went home and just posted the videos on Twitter? It would have been a number of years and taken quite some effort just to digitize these videos. And even if we did hear about this stuff, it would have just been some rumor from some guy who heard it from some guy. Now, the whole Alice in Chains Lane Staley incident was dumb, but understandable. In 1994, Alice in Chains were scheduled to join Metallica on tour, only to cancel the day before the first show.
Sean later told Rolling Stone the final straw was when Lane showed up for practice high the day before the start of the Metallica tour. He threw down his sticks and vowed he would never play with Lane again, a sentiment shared by Jerry Cantrell.
Metallica were angry, but so were Alice in Chains.
According to Rolling Stone, the band broke up for 6 months.
While this was absolutely an immature response, it wasn't enough to cause any backlash. In fact, the two bands would remain friends to this day. Metallica were in the audience for Alice in Chains' 1996 MTV Unplugged performance, but I want to circle back to that event later. For now, here's Metallica at Jerry Cantrell's birthday party in 2018. If the band members weren't going to hold a grudge about it, why would the fans?
Kurt Cobain was the perfect example of the toxic underbelly of disgusting denial that permeates our society today. He was a weenie. I'm glad he's dead.
Do you see any similarity between the Sex Pistols and Nirvana?
Well, if there was, he wouldn't have topped himself, would he? Because he would have learnt that life's precious and not a thing to be destroyed. And don't be fobbed off with that dirty, druggy rock and roll culture.
The Kurt Cobain incident was a tasteless joke, but that's all it was. It's important to remember that the 90s was basically one long tasteless joke with Christian conservatives trying to shut it down. Late night comedy, which is as mainstream as it gets, spent months farming the Monica Lewinsky situation in their monologues.
Did you see Monica's new hairdo, all slicked down with that hair gel? At least I think it was hair gel.
Long story short, even if the general public had known about this, they wouldn't have cared. And in order to cancel a band, especially back then, it would have taken much more than simple public outrage. You would have to get the band's actual fans to turn on them. Being a fan meant a lot more than simply having a couple tracks on a randomized playlist. In the 90s, there was a much greater division between fans of different music genres, and being a fan of metal was not easy. While the stereotype of the metal fan wearing a band tee is true to life, we went out of our way to get those shirts. You couldn't get a Misfits shirt at JCPenney, a Korn shirt at Walmart, or a baby onesie on Metallica's official website. When we wanted new shirts, we had to go to a specialty retailer. Sometimes it was a store that only sold graphic tees, or we would go to a shop that catered to our style, like Retail Slut in Hollywood, or these days Meow Meows in Pasadena. In '94, you probably didn't even have a Hot Topic nearby, as they only had about 70 stores at that time. You might have had a Spencer's, but they were kind of hit or miss. This was the same with rap tees, which is why many of them go for good money these days. My one t-shirt regret is never buying a System of a Down shirt at one of their shows. It was a shirt that riffed on Sweet and Low packaging. I've never even found a picture of it online. Most of the bands we followed tended to have smaller concerts at clubs. This meant intimate venues at affordable prices and good crowds of, mostly, people you felt an instant kinship towards. We didn't just listen to the music. We lived it. It would take a lot to get these kinds of fans to denounce a band they followed. Maybe something like completely changing their image and releasing an album that strayed from what made them famous? When Metallica released their 6th album, Load, in mid-1996, it came with a whole new style for the band. The guys had cut their hair and were wearing makeup in their photo shoots. The fans were left asking one question.
What the fuck is this?
I can understand, like, this kid has the photo from 1991 from the Black Album. That's my Metallica. The next photo he sees is 5 years later, and it's on this other record that has semen on the cover.
Circling back to the Alice in Chains MTV Unplugged recording in '96, with the newly styled Metallica in the crowd, the band decided to have a little fun with them.
Friends don't let friends get friends' haircuts.
Yeah.
So, all joking aside, that was the back of Mike's bass the night you guys played your Unplugged gig in...
I think it was the front. I think it was the front of the bass.
Was it the front?
This is what people did back then. Everyone made fun of everyone else. The strain between Metallica and their fans would continue through the releases of Reload and Saint Anger. The latter is still considered the true low point in the band's history.
Honestly answer it to the best of your knowledge. Saint Anger!
Mostly the fans were just confused by the band's choices. Eventually, everyone kind of just grew up and listened to the albums they wanted while ignoring the rest. These days, Metallica is hanging out with Elton John and Miley Cyrus, so the world's turned upside down, I guess. And that's okay. But in the end, who would have benefited from canceling Metallica? Seriously, think about that. Cobain was already gone. Metallica isn't the reason Lane Staley continued to have addiction problems. The fans didn't care. Apparently the only ones who would have benefited would be a handful of TikTokers 30 years after the fact. Get over it, move on. We didn't care then, and we certainly don't now.